Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conversation today is part of the International Association of the Study of Commons of the Asia series, and the session is titled as Water Resources Governance in Indonesia. My name is Mansee Bal, and I'm from the House of W4W, and I welcome you all as we're inching towards 380 sessions in our Water Conversation series from W4W, where we strongly believe that water conversations are extremely crucial for water conservation. The objective of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversations with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions they are working upon and seeking for. It has expanded since then to have more activities like the Friday Waters Thesis Club, Reading Club, Friday Water Arts, and Friday Water Talkies. Along with that, Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. Besides organizing on site water workshops, water walks and talks, seminars, special courses, and conference panels to keep the conversation flowing just like the water. Do visit our website www.w4w.in for more details. For today's IASC Asia series, Water Resource Governance in Indonesia, we are going to have very interesting speakers who have worked in Indonesia, have traveled around the world and worked in different commons. We have Dr. Y.X. Suryadi and we have Yanti Kusumanto as our speakers, and we have a young discussant, Alejandra Amor from Cambridgeshire. So before I actually invite our speakers, it's a protocol to do a very brief biography of theirs, and then we can get on to the conversation and their presentation. I start with my friend Yanti Kusumanto, who is an Indonesian-born international consultant, a sustainability consultant with governance background. She has learned and owned a TYK research and action consulting based in the Netherlands. She holds an advanced degree from Wageningen University, focused on tropical agriculture, development economics, and forest policy. Before she began her consultancy, she had engaged with international NGOs, including CGIR, as a development practitioner, social science researcher, and program manager in areas of participatory and adaptive development, social inclusion, and sustainability. Besides, she has also worked with World Bank, FAO, and many NGOs and including Dutch universities. Her expertise has delivered scientific publications, moderation of international and multinational convenings, collaborative initiatives, manuals, policy briefs, and project proposals. She's currently also in the scientific advisory board of the Bandung Conference 2025 and co-chair of the 2027 IASC biennial conference to be held in Makassar, Indonesia. So may I invite Yanti to make your presentation first, and thank you so much for organizing and taking charge of this session and also arranging other speakers. Dr. Suryadi is here. Over to you, Yanti, and then I will introduce Dr. Suryadi after your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mansee. Oh, I do hear some voice trembling. No? Are you here?
It's good. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Mansee, for your introduction. Nice introduction. Thank you also for the opportunity to talk on this platform. Yeah, I need to say that I will also be speaking on behalf of Andi Pambudi. He's the main investigator of the research I'm going to talk about, but he is not available. He's hospitalized. So I will do my best to also speak for him. Yeah, please allow me to share my slides so I can start my presentation.
Yes.
Do you see the slides?
Yes, please go ahead. You can make it in the slideshow, and then, yes, wonderful.
All right. Oh, let me see. I think I will do it. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so I will be talking on the topic water resources governance in Indonesia. This is based on a publication that Andy and I wrote and came out in 2023. I will start with a short introduction, continue with some context, and then give an overview of the historical timeline of the water resource governance in Indonesia. I will give an overview of the conceptual foundations, and then followed by an overview of regulations, policies, legal and institutional measures, and then and the challenges. And I will conclude with 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 a way forward as proposed by us. Yeah, so as stipulated in the let me see, yes, as stipulated in the 1945 state constitution of Indonesia, every citizen is entitled to have access to clean, safe, and sufficient water to lead a healthy, prosperous, and productive life. But attaining this objective seems to be difficult. It is challenged, and that is our hypothesis. It is challenged due to sectoral silo mentality, policy fragmentation, as well as overlapping and contradictory regulations. So our investigation tried to look into the root causes and also the implications from environmental, social, and economic perspectives of this. Why attaining this objective is challenged by these aspects, these phenomena that I mentioned. We did that by analyzing laws, regulations, and policies, complemented by a review of literature and official documents. Well, Indonesia is known as the world's largest archipelago with over 70,000 islands, with a total area of 1.9 million square kilometers and a population of over 280 million people. Those who have been engaged or have observed environment, forestry, or water management or infrastructural management may know that water resource governance in Indonesia has a dual character. It uses a dual perspective, and this manifests itself in the legal framework, in policies and institutions, where a focus on environment and forestry is manifested next to a focus on uh, uh, perspective. And we will look into that into more depth, what the implications are of this dual perspective. How is the context, relatively recent context of water resource governance in Indonesia? The context is grim. A water quality decline has occurred since 2015. And a water security challenge is expected to continue to at least 2045. And as shown as point 4, the availability of water in some islands and regions has come under strain. And it is projected that it will remain under strain, particularly on Java and Bali, where most or close to 60% of Indonesia's population are residing, and where economic development has been the strongest compared to other regions and islands. Water resource governance over time. So the historical timeline is as follows. From Dutch colonial times in the 17th century to early 20th century through present independent area, we can see that water governance has been aimed at development and or political economic objectives considered key, considered pivotal by subsequent government regimes. Examples are colonial, commercial or economic objectives, food self-sufficiency, urban rural development, energy and industrial development. These four pictures, you can see these four pictures illustrate how these specific governance focus, water governance focus, manifests itself on the ground from colonial times through present times. What are the conceptual foundations of water governance? There are two concepts, the river basin territory with a predominantly blue water perspective, and a watershed concept with a predominantly green water perspective. It is interesting to mention that the river basin territory that has been used predominantly before 1980. So before that, governance has been much focused on infrastructure management, on hard infrastructure projects and water conservation, etc. Whereas after 1980, a watershed management or a watershed concept was more used with a predominantly green water perspective. And this relates more to a more stronger ecological view or angle. So from 1980 on, these two concepts has been combined. And this is interesting from a scientific point of view, because over time, due to scientific development, new scientific how would you say it, basis, but also operational knowledge, concepts have shifted from a river basin territory concept to a watershed concept. An overview of regulations, policies, legal and institutional measures and challenges are as follows. There are three major regulations, and it is interesting. The first that is shown here, the government regulation concerning watershed management, relates to the foundation that I showed earlier, and so the green water perspective, whereas law concerning water resources is finds its foundation on the river basin territory concept. A third major regulation is the National Spatial Plan regulation, and this relates more on regulating the distribution of protected areas on each island. So this is also very relevant to water governance. There are at least 4 ministries involved in water resource governance. A core role is played by the Ministry of National Development Planning, where Andy is part of. This ministry is responsible for developing medium-term development plans of 5 years, and these plans give mandates to 4 ministries: Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing, Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Consecutive medium-term development plans from 2004 on until 2024 shows that there is has some adaptations, some changes in focus. Early, in the first period, priority was put on conservation and management of water resources. Subsequently, priority was put on policy priorities on water security, food security and energy, food security and energy, I'm sorry. And then between 2020 and 2024, there was more a wide approach of more, how would you say it? A wide approach of how to balance different approaches, how to balance different perspective. For water conservation with utilization, upstream and downstream, governance, utilization of surface water and groundwater, water, etc., etc. So that's interesting to see this shift. Legal measures. There are many legal measures, but in our investigation, we focused on two legal measures, the provision of community rights and financial support for implementation of regulations. We also reviewed institutional measures, for example, mandates, law enforcement, planning and technical guides, etc. And main challenges. There are a myriad of challenges, and the list is long, but I will share here the main challenges, the core challenges. Indonesia's regulatory framework of water resource governance uses a dual strategy with the aim to effectively engage relevant stakeholders. But due to weak institutional coordination, this strategy seems not to work. Watershed management plans are developed at central level, leading to little ownership of regional and local decision makers, and also of implementing agencies. And as we know, water governance should be decision making of water governance should be conducted, should be implemented at the lowest level. Another one is weak law enforcement necessary to ensure that environmental carrying capacities not be exceeded. Yeah, and I think I will also underline the challenge that the provision of community rights provides insufficient space for community rights and places the state in a dominant position. Another thing that I'd like also to underline is that laws are weak in giving directions for translating institutional mandates to implementation plans at operational levels. We'd like to propose the following way forward. Development of water resources governance with an eco-regional perspective, whereby the boundaries of an ecoregion are determined by its hydrological cycle. An ecoregional governance system is essentially polycentric, addressing power asymmetries. The second point is to effectively synchronize central and regional or local water regulations, whereby the president, so the executive actor or the executive executive side, as political leader and as institution, should cooperate with parliament, the legislators. A third point is that society-wide participation should be designed in water governance so that there is inclusion of disadvantaged groups like women, disabled, the young. Build check and balances in public institutions so as to ensure continuity in water resources monitoring and evaluation. And finally, a final point, develop awareness and knowledge that water governance targets are not only set for a given sector, ministry, or institution, but are part of comprehensive governance system at the necessary levels and scales. I will leave it at that, Mansee.
Thank you so much, Yanti, for this crisp presentation and giving an overview of water governance in India. We will quickly move to our next speaker, and I will invite him right after a brief introduction of Dr. Franciscus Suryadi, or we can call him Dr. FX Suryadi. Dr. Suryadi has obtained experience in hydrometric and hydrographic surveys in tidal rivers in Indonesia and in modeling of water management systems. He received his PhD from Delft University of Technology, and he has worked across as researcher at Swamp and Coastal Engineering Division with the Ministry of Public Works in Indonesia, and later he moved to Delft Hydraulics in the Netherlands, and his research topic for the past many years has been on soil and water management strategies for lowlands, setting up database management systems, hydrodynamic modeling, including salinity intrusion, modeling of irrigation system, land suitability in tidal lowlands, lowland development and water management zoning with GIS, and including national and international publications. He has worked extensively and taught applied hydraulics in one-dimensional water quantity and quality mathematical modeling for several courses at IHE Delft, abroad for many programs, including in Malaysia, Ethiopia, Palestine, Jordan, Sudan, Morocco, just to name a few, Myanmar, and of course, Indonesia. He has experience in many consultancy projects of water management systems, including urban drainage and flood control, coastal protection works, and water harvesting applications of GIS, and many short courses, as Netherlands is well known for doing short courses on urban and rural polder water management system. Dr. Suryadi, thank you so much for agreeing to take this conversation with us and at a very short notice, and I must appreciate your enthusiasm to be with us. We are also super delighted to have you. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Nancy. Okay, let me start immediately. Slideshow.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still, yes, of course, it's there.
Okay, let me start. And then today I will focus on tidal lowland development in Indonesia, especially related to the development of food crop cultivation. Okay. Yanti mentioned already about the Indonesian and so many islands, etc., etc. But here you can see also that Indonesia, if you look at the black colors, and then you see the tidal lowlands in Indonesia, they cover about 33.4 million hectares. Yeah? And then from that, actually, tidal lowlands consists of 20 million hectares, and then non-tidal lowland 12 million, and then inland from area 1.4 hectares. And then, if we are talking about the development of tidal lowlands, the measures of tidal lowlands, now out of the 30 million hectares, 2.5 million developed already by the spontaneous people, on the coastal strips, and then 1.3 million hectares government schemes, and then from our check, remaining potential of 4 to 5 million hectares. So it covers still 4 to 5 million hectares. Then, in tidal lowlands, we classify it into what we call it hydrotopographical conditions of the tidal lowlands. We divide it into 4 categories: A, B, C, and D. A is the lowest part. So it means that we may expect tidal irrigation during high tides. And then B, we can expect also tidal irrigation, but only during rainy seasons. But C is a little bit high. Let's say 50 centimeters above high, high tides. And then D, and the highest part, so we don't have tidal effect anymore. One thing I like to mention, but for category A and B, as I said, we may expect tidal irrigations. So it means during high tide, the high water may flow into our system and then irrigate the area. And then during low tide, the water will flow out and drain out to the main river system. So it means in this case, we don't need any, let's say, hydraulic structure like we do it in the upstream part by constructing a dam of a weir. No, in tidal areas, we simply use a tidal energy. So during high tide, irrigation; during low tide, drainage. Then, but of course, if we are talking about tidal lowlands in Indonesia, there are special characteristics of these lowlands. Yeah. First, of course, influenced by tidal fluctuation and salinity intrusion. So it means that if we like to develop it for agricultural purposes, we have to check it carefully. Of course, no salinity intrusion. Yeah. And then the second one, in the tidal lowlands, we have a very specific soil types, peat or peaty soils. And the second one is potential acid sulfate soils, or well known as pyrite. And of course, the third one, mineral soil. So it means if we are talking about water management system here, possible problems during dry seasons, yeah, maybe we may expect the salinity intrusion, and because of the dry, and then we have a peat soils, and then the area could be prone to vulnerable to fire. Yeah? And then during the rainy season, because the area is low elevation, tidal lowlands, especially category A and B, so it means could be flat during the rainy season. Now, because of these specific characteristics, yeah, really for these tidal lowlands, we have to consider it carefully about leaching and flushing. Now you can see here, so the picture above is about fire during the dry season. And then the lower part, they did a survey, they checked the acidity of the water and also soil system because of this peat soil and also potential acid sulfate soil. Then again, if we are talking about water governance for tidal lowlands, we can simply check the water balance in the area, in the related area. If we compare WforW on these slides about precipitation and evaporation, we can simply see clearly that when we will have a surplus of water, and then when we may expect expect a shortage of water. So it means when we need the drainage and then when we need the irrigation. huh? So of course, for category A and B, mainly drainage, really a problem. If a proper water governance can be created in tidal lowlands, you can see here, this is the result. You can develop it for different crops. Left part, I show you some fruits, and then right side, you see they develop it for paddy field. It is one of the scheme by the lowlands in South Sumatra. Uh, Now, what I have heard, the yield is about 9 ton per hectare. So it is really high. So you can imagine if the development will cover so large area, they can produce also very high paddy yield. Of course, as I said, for category A and B, maybe you may have a problem of drainage because the area is quite low and then there is high tides. So it means in many cases, you need some hydraulic control structures. Yeah, of course, they develop it in the tertiary level and then very simple flap gate or automatic gate. So it means when they may allow water flow into the system and then when they like to have a drainage during low tide. Now, not only control structures with the flat gate, but also they develop a very simple control structures. Below you see there are 3 openings. If they like to retain water, so they can simply close all these 3 openings. But if they like to flush or they like to drain it, they can simply open which opening and depend on which water level they like to maintain. Okay. So finally, I like to mention about how to develop tidal lowlands in Indonesia. Of course, first of all, they have to start it with the construction of drainage system. We are talking about lowland areas. First, drainage. Not too much water. If it is too much water, of course, you cannot grow any crops. Then, if they have a drainage system followed by the soil ripening process, and then, of course, the new equilibrium of the system will be achieved. But be careful if you start to drain the area, because you may expect also land subsidence because of the oxidation of the organic materials. Then, okay, the surface level will be lower and lower. So we have to be very careful. If you develop tidal lowlands, you should not do over drainage. So it means you lower the groundwater level too low. If it is too low, land subsidence is also too big. And then if the elevation is going down, so it means during the rainy season, you may expect more flood problems. But we have to be optimistic with a proper water management system, good water governance, of course, by considering also other important aspects as social, economic, and environment, tidal lowlands is a very promising. Now, again, I like to say the keywords groundwater table control. Of course, you cannot avoid land subsidence, but you can control it. You have to limit it, not too big. And how? First, by doing a proper soil and water management system. If you can control the humidity of the soil system, you can control also, you can protect also the heat from fire. And then, okay, to be successful, of course, you have to provide leaching and flushing of the toxic materials from the system. As I said, you have a pit, you have a potential as a source of fire. Huh? If you develop it, of course, they start to be oxidized. And then from this oxidation, you may produce the acid material. So it means if the acid material is there, you may expect of pH become lower and lower. You have to avoid it. How to avoid it? By providing a leaching and flushing properly in your water management system. This is all what I like to say, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suryadi, for this wonderful, very precise, technical approach to water governance. So actually today in our International Association of the Study of the Common session, we are seeing a classic case in case of Indonesian presentation, how the social technical systems can work together. And I know the University of Delft has really dwelled into this aspect of the social ecological system where they brought in the technical aspect of governance here. We can discuss more about it, but let me just get in our young discussant for the day, Ms. Alejandra Amor Pinacho, who is also our senior researcher at W4W Foundation and a young professional with a background in planning, growth, and regeneration from the University of Cambridge. So my own junior as well, and my student for her master's. Her expertise includes comparative place-based policy regeneration projects, advanced economic development analysis, as well as courses with Inter-American Development Bank. Alejandra is currently working with the Cambridge Council, working on Greater Cambridge Plan, which looks at the policies in infrastructure economics, housing, climate, and society. She has also worked with not-for-profit foundations focused on helping developing nations achieve greater sustainability and autonomy in managing natural resources. Her interests are interdisciplinary with a particular focus on intersection of environmental and social policy. So rightly placed today for the discussion here, looking at the contemporary economic and political agendas. And her most recent work, which is where I was also involved with her as a mentor, is in the process of which is her master's thesis, From Commons to Commodities: How Have Land Regulations and Acquisition Influenced Extraction of Critical Raw Materials, where she studied actually nickel sector in Indonesia, and which received her thesis received an honorary distinction, and it's in the process of publication. She's also writing for W4W now, so we are very pleased to have Alejandra as part of the W4W team. And Alejandra, the screen is yours, the floor is yours. Please engage our speakers as well as our participants. Over to you.
Thank you, Mansee. Thank you for the amazing introduction. And thank you both for the great presentations, both Suryadi and Janti. Very insightful indeed on the governance and science of the common that water is, and in Indonesia. And before I present my questions, I would like to also give the floor to the public. If they want any questions to be addressed for the speakers, they can write it in the chat. So yeah, anyone feel free to write any questions directed at both Yanti, Suryadi, or just the topic of water governance in Indonesia. But yeah, so in the meanwhile, I can maybe kind of raise the discussion first on water governance. Very, very, very interesting, especially how you, Yanti, you started on explaining the main constitution of Indonesia and how that, the main regulation of water should be accessible to all. And I just wanted to, out of curiosity, This is a question that came up whilst looking at your presentation. Just a curiosity of how does the community get involved in water governance? So you've talked a lot about the institutional side, laws and regulations, but I wanted to see how, for example, customary people that live in customary land and so communities that are within customary land or traditional land, how do they manage water governance? How do they, as you said, law and regulations can be hard for it to put in practice due to the institutional weakness that Indonesia can have. So I wanted just to see how the community takes action in governing water, in a sense, or work. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. It does make sense. I think that's quite an important question and a challenge as well.
Yeah.
For government, but also other stakeholders
Yes.
who intend to more be inclusive be inclusive
Yes.
towards local communities, indigenous communities. The thing is that the waters, well, we are talking about sectors, not only one water sector. So sectors, so water governance is very, very fragmented. There are different sectors who are mandated to regulate utilization of water resources, but also the distribution of water resources. And I think what I try to also share is that this highly regulated sector, not only sector, different sectors, I think it should be more open up, and whereby different stakeholders are also invited
Okay.
to create conditions where local communities also can participate in water governance. I'd like to mention I mentioned two laws that are the major laws in water governance. And it's interesting to see that only one of the two talk about participation of communities, of local communities. And that is the forestry, environment and forest, the watershed, uh, concerning watershed management. So yeah, if you trace this back to the scientific basis that are the foundation of each of the two laws, then you may perhaps argue that the river basin territory is more has a more a technical perspective and should be bended to also include local communities, local stakeholders for participating in water governance. Whereas the watershed watershed regulation, they are more open to local participation. So yeah, I'm also with Andy. I'm also a bit looking for ways how to integrate the different perspectives. But
Yes.
yeah, do I still have time? But the problem may be you may have heard of programs of integrated water resource management or integrated whatever. So it seems as if the different institutions, the different sectoral institutions, they are intended, actually, they're urged to work together. But the problem is how to create conditions that different institutions at different levels, different different arrays could collaborate. I don't
Yes.
know if
This is no, this perfect. Yeah, it answered my question. I mean, raised more curiosity for me. Because it's very interesting to maybe, Sridhar, you can also jump in if you want. I just wanted to, yeah, you said that watershed, the sector of watershed, right, was more participatory, invites more participation. And I just wanted to think, well, the curiosity is, why does this sector specifically invites more participation in comparison to the other, yeah, sectors that you mentioned, in a way. Does it make sense, or yeah?
Yeah.
Was it watershed?
Perhaps
Yeah.
it's the shift of focus. As I said, the river basin territory was predominantly used before 1980, and the
Okay.
watershed regulation after 1980. So yeah,
Mhm.
there might
Yes.
also be some influence from the scientific side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, as I know, in around early 1980s,
Yeah.
the forestry sector has become more participatory, and they are more focusing on inviting local communities to participate in initiatives. So that might also be an influence
Mhm.
in how
Yes.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. It makes sense. Thank you. And I guess for if we want to get Surjadi involved, talking about the proper, so you talk about proper water management, and looking at climate adaptation and how we can have, as you mentioned, groundwater control as key to sustainable tidal lowlands. So my question is, what does proper water management actually look like in practice for these areas? What technology practices or governance arrangements are essential? And what are the main barriers to implementing them? This is a very big question. But I mean, any overview is welcome, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alexander. I
Yeah.
will try to answer it. Yeah, if
Yes.
we are talking about water management, as I said, of course, the first phase, they simply provide a drainage canal. eh? As I said, try to drain it, because too much water, then they cannot grow any crops, right? Okay. Then, of course, after the first phase, they have to improve it again and again. As I said, tidal lowlands, they have a very typical characteristics related to the hydrotopographical conditions. So it means the elevation of ground related to the tides elevation, one thing. And the second about the soil conditions, composed of peat or potential acid sulfate soils. If we are talking about category A and B, low elevation, so it means in the second stage of the development, they have to consider now how to uh, avoid any floods or too much water again during high tides. So of course, here they have to consider to construct a dike, and also if there is a canal, primary, secondary, tertiary canal, how they like to control it. Also, not only by constructing dike, but also, of course, high tides may enter the system through the canals. So it means they have to put a hydraulic control systems. For example, gates, flap gates or automatic gate or sliding gates or whatever it is. But of course, they have to be very careful. If we are talking about tidal lowlands, we are talking about high tides. Maybe so many times high tides occurred in the midnight, in the dark. Now, it means we have to consider also if we have to open or we have to close the gates, what happens if in the midnight, and then not only in the midnight, but also maybe with a rain and tropical rain. So most probably the farmers say, oh, now too difficult, or I will not go to the gate and then close or open the gates because too far, too dangerous, etc., etc. So it means maybe, and they did actually, to consider it, okay, then put the automatic gate or
Yes.
flap gate. So hydraulically, they will work automatically. Huh? When,
Yeah.
yeah, and the automatic gate. That's about to avoid flood. But the next problem, as I said, maybe you drain a little bit too much, let's say. And then your land subsidence may be a little bit too high. If it is too high, and then they become prone to fire. Huh? So it means the measures, they have to control the soil moisture content. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So on the
Yes.
contrary, during the rainy season, to control from too much water. But in the dry season, to control the soil moisture content itself. How they do that? Very simple. So, for example, in the tertiary canal, they construct what they call it blocking canal systems. Blocking canal systems. So it means basically, so instead of automatic gate, they simply put blocks. Huh?
Right.
Blocks. Yeah. So it means they can control the water level in the tertiary canal.
Ah,
If in the tertiary canal they can control it, so it means the groundwater level in the tertiary block, they can control it as well. Yeah?
yes.
Now, of
Yes.
course, they have to be very careful. They, do, they should not block the system the whole season. Why? Because I said soil, maybe peat, maybe acid, potential acid sulfate soils. So it means the quality, maybe it is not that good. So it means next to the control of groundwater level, uh, if needed, they have to
Yeah.
open that blocking and then flush out the water from the system.
Yes.
They did it.
Yes.
This is the way.
And thank you so much. Very, yeah, very insightful. And I've written some bullet points on it, so I can write later the essay on your answer. And in the chat, we've had a discussion with Yandi and Mansi, and they've argued about the need for facilities, um, well, how to facilitate basically communities to find the necessary support for proper water management. And you did talk about the South Sumatra case study, and it was clear that it seemed like it was a community-led water management project. So maybe the both of you can discuss what is necessary in terms of financially or technically to give to those local communities to carry out more water management projects like the one we saw in South Sumatra. So I know that Yanti, you also mentioned legal measures that you focused on. You focused on the provision of community rights and financial support for the implementation of regulations, right? So maybe you can expand on the financial support for to facilitate communities to facilitate communities, for example, in the water management support. And maybe Sujata, you can focus on maybe what technical support can be used to facilitate community-led water management projects. Yeah, and if you both would like to discuss, or whoever wants to go first in terms of that. Yeah.
Shall I do first?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is very interesting.
Yes.
Look, I did join that South Sumatra scheme actually. What we
Yes.
did at the beginning, we set up a pilot block. We selected tertiary blocks, and then we completed with all we need if we are talking about water management. So it means a proper dike, proper water control structures, and also how to operate the system. So it means from the beginning, in the pilot block, we work together with the farmers there, farmer association. So they have to see and they learn how to operate it. And then they see also the effect of that proper water management and then will affect the yield. When they saw it, they learn it. Oh, very positive. And then they will follow us. So from the pilot block, and then slowly they improve their own block. Now, to the present situation, 9 ton per hectare. So that's important thing. But also next to that, we should not forget also in Indonesia, they have also, they call it river basin authority. River basin authority, they cover also this tidal lowland areas. So it means if we are talking about macro water management system, so let's say primary systems, dikes of canal or hydraulic structures, and then the river basin authority will support them. What are the problems and how to solve it? The authority will help. But again, next to that river basin authority in Indonesia, they have also special technical office, in this case, to support the tidal lowland development. But this institution, they focus on more applied research related to the water and soil systems. So again, so it means in a particular area, very special case with the acidity or with the salinity intrusion, and then they can go to that institution and then report to them, okay, we are facing this problem, and then maybe they can help. And of course, they have to be honest. So it means with this kind of institutions, personally, I'm optimistic if they do it properly like this, we may expect good results.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Yanti, if you want to add anything in terms of the financial...
Finance?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to give an example, and it's not in terms of finance, but you can translate it into a financial financial terms. An example of also Sumatra, Central Sumatra, Jambi, where CIFOR, and I was way back part of CIFOR, facilitated an adat community. And so this community succeeded to maintain their community forest, indigenous forest. And the government was so impressed by this attainment that they built relationship. And that is, I think, the important part of the story. So how would you say it? Long-term relationship between the district government and the community have opened up opportunities to so that the government support them with pipes, water pipes, because they see the benefits of the benefits of this forest, adat forest, that it's kept kept in good shape. And also people from outside the communities have come into the village to become part of the community, meaning that local groups have spontaneously built relationships and become part of a local indigenous community, and that is unique. Sometimes you may have known of the case of Maluku, that that people are quite cautious if external groups are coming to live into their territory. So I think that there are different aspects that can show that building relationship between public institutions and communities are quite key. But in our case, an external facilitator was necessary. That's so in bringing the community to deliberate with government. So here are different actors, different groups that are necessary for making a learning what would you say, a learning platform between the different different groups, different actors. But it's it's very nice to see that happening.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree, the link between public institutions and local communities is key, just because of the transfer of power that can happen. And you've got the community power, and being able that community power being able to translate into public institutions as well is key, I think. Yeah. I'm just gonna. So I see that there's three people, Agus, Sunita, and Triyono. If you wanna raise your hand or pop a question in the chat, please do so. I know that Mansee has put a question in the chat, so we can go ahead with hers. But please feel free, because I think the discussion might be running to an end soon. So this might be your last chance to ask a question to the amazing speakers. Okay, so Mansee's question is, how do you see the role of transdisciplinary professionals in working on such multi-sectoral water governance? So I guess it's a group of stakeholders. How do you see them working in such a fragmented and multi-sectoral projects that water governance can be? I think it's a question addressed to both, I guess. This is from Mansee.
Yeah, interesting question, Mansee. Yeah. Well, my experience, but I'm talking about a period of perhaps more than 20 years, meaning that I've started to see myself as how would you say it, an agronomist, So based on a technical discipline. But then along the way, while working together with local communities, I needed to learn also from practice and to also embrace other disciplines. So when going back to the office or to going back home, then I started to also try to how would you say it, to study or to embrace different perspectives. So I'm always thinking of the example of Leonardo da Vinci. He's a scientist. He's a scientist. He's also an artist, and he's also an entrepreneur, but also an inventor. So it's amazing. I mean, so if you start as a scientist, but then if you'd like to contribute to society, I think you should be open to embrace all
Yes.
kinds of disciplines and to learn as well. I don't know what about Pak Suryadi. What do you think?
I agree with you. I agree with you, Yanti.
Yeah.
Great.
Especially
Conclusion.
Dr. Suryadi coming from a very highly technical background and
Yes.
working with community, I'm very intrigued, I mean, how do you cross bridge these social technical systems?
Yes.
Okay, Mansee, thank you. Look, I'm a simple person. If I go to any tidal irrigation schemes, of course, we should study first what are the problems there, and then how about the potential of the area, and then after that, what are the constraints, and then based on that, of course, we have to discuss with the farmers there, with the people there. Now, this is not an easy task. Huh? But for example, in Indonesia, actually, if we are talking about coordination, there are some institutions. huh? In this case, maybe planning and development board for the regional planning and development board, BAPDA. And of course, they have also uh, public works services office, and then they have also farmer associations. huh? And then, if possible, of course, please work together, discuss it. What are the problems, potentials, and constraints? And then, based on that, try to discuss to develop a possible solutions. From engineering aspects, of course, we should not think, okay, we can develop a very sophisticated hydraulic structures. No, it is useless. But we have to discuss it together. And then most of the cases, we can find out, let's say, the proper solution for that. Huh? So, for example, now, few months back, I have heard also the government, the planning and development board, they try to assist to help not only special tidal lowland schemes, but also to the special area, to the special local area. As Yanti said, the Adat area in South Kalimantan. And then discuss it and then try to find out the possible solution for that. But it works, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, just a final short answer, please. But I just had this small question and then we can sum it up and finish it, but keep it very short. I just wanted to just the question that came up when I heard when we talk about communities and adat and customary rights and traditional rights. Do you think that a lot of people that live in these customary lands, do you think that they sometimes oppose such water projects, or that they might be not very supportive or participatory when it comes to, I mean, medium to large water management projects? I mean, you both have the experience of working in with communities. So, I mean, if just say yes or no, and maybe like a phrase, but yeah, should be kept short, please. Thank you.
May I say? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Alexandra, this is normal. Huh?
Yes.
They oppose you. This is normal. But most of the cases, because it is not clear to them. The first time when you go there, of course,
Yes.
why you are strangers? Why you are coming here? That's normal. But you have to
Yeah.
tell them, to inform them properly, but
Yeah.
inform them in a simple way. huh? Now,
Yes.
especially if you have a pilot block, will be very useful. They will
Yes.
see the effect of that
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you. Thank you. And
Oh,
I agree.
thank
I
you.
think I think knowledge is empowerment. And I think if we tell them in a simple and, truthful way, it's always going to help them, feel empowered and in control. So, yes, thank you very much. And this has been very, very useful discussion. I wish this could go on for hours. So much, so many things to discuss. But yeah, I mean, thank you both for sharing the scientific and the institutional, and we touched on economic and social perspectives of water governance and looking at the main challenges of it and the way forward. So thank you also, Sridaji and Janti again, and Mansee for providing a platform to discuss such an important topic. And yes, well, commons is the foundation to everything, right? So common land, water, and yeah, the environment is foundational to our way of life. And yeah, so thank you very much. And over to you, Mansee, to close up the discussion.
Thank you, Alejandra. As always, we are very proud of our having our discussions, really raising difficult questions to experts in all the sessions, and I'm very proud to have you as our senior researcher at WforW. Thank you, Yanti and Franciscus, for this wonderful discussion. You really reminded me of the ethos of commons, as we have been talking about through Eleanor Strom Scholars Group in the International Association of the Study of Commons, and very well fitted. Importantly, when you brought in the Adat example, I almost felt that I was working with you in this project, in this presentation today, because I will highly recommend and request both of you to come forward, and maybe we can think about doing secondary research on dual design principles of Ostrom's work on collective action, and see how the tidal lowland project can be put into a scientific publication together. So that's an offer from this conversation today, and I'm sure Alejandra has a lot of meat to write about
Yes.
the forthcoming essays.
A
But
lot.
before we close the session, I am also here to announce equally interesting session coming up in next Wednesday, when we talk about in our Riverscape series, like the IASC series, we are also running a Riverscape series, and we talk on Wednesday, which is next Wednesday, 15th of October, and we take up Vadodara, no riverfront on Vishwamitra River. And I think the title is going to change a little bit, but it's the only riverfront in India which is not going to be a riverfront. And we are looking forward to having that conversation. This week, actually, we have a very interesting thesis session on Friday Waters Thesis Club on October 10th at 5 p.m. IST. All our sessions are at 5 p.m. IST. And interestingly, today we touched upon actually 4 time zones in the world, and we are doing quite well in managing the time zones now. It is hard work at the background, but we did manage today as well. On Friday 10th, we are talking about laser land leveling on groundwater management and case of Northwest India. And all the information will be there on our website, www.W4W.in, for more details. Do stay tuned with us, and we are going strong. We are fully booked until November end, which means we are actually going to touch 400 by the end of December if all goes well. And we are always booking at least 6 to 8 weeks in advance in case you are interested to be speaker, or you know someone who will be interested to share some of their water worries and wisdom. We are always open to invite our speakers on this platform. Thanks all of you, and please take care of yourself. See you soon. Bye bye.